general picture right here.
Well, when we purchased it, it was $375, so I don't know.
We'll put 400 up here.
Yeah,
And is there any mortgage on that home?
yes,
How much?
it's probably $220 still.
Besides the home, do you all own any other real estate? Let's move to retirement accounts. So things like IRAs or 401ks.
Yes, I don't have that.
And William, do you go by William or Bill?
Bill,
Bill, okay. Bill, for you, retirement accounts.
yes, I have retirement.
Okay, is it an IRA?
No.
Is
It's
it
a company retirement.
What's that?
I retired from a company. It's probably an IRA, isn't it?
We have Ameriprise Financial, so lumped in together.
Okay. But do you know if is it an IRA account that you're taking distributions from each year?
Yes.
Okay. And now those are going to be individually owned. So do you each own a separate IRA account?
Yes, but
Okay.
I'm not sure in that amount how much it is.
Okay, that's fine. But you each have an IRA account.
Yes.
We're just unsure of the balance of those. Now you said that you had a Ameriprise account? And is that value for that include these IRAs? do you
Yes.
think? Okay. What's the total value of that?
Well, 300,000.
300,000?
We have also another investment.
Now for this $300,000 figure, is this just made up of the two IRAs? Okay, there's other assets in there?
Yes.
Okay. Other investment account assets? Do you know if the non-IRA portion of this is jointly owned by the two of you?
I believe it is. Isn't it? Yeah, just the IRA is separate.
We probably should get an update next week. Get it once a month.
Once you get your statement, yeah. But again, right now, we're just looking for just general overview. Now, Bill, you said that there was another investment account
Yeah,
that you had?
we've got about 100,000, well, let's say 100,000 in PNC.
It's
And that was our backup. You know, something failed somewhere else.
You have this
The
there.
company I worked for, the time I retired, and get back home, they had gone bankrupt, and we lost 500,000 just traveling back home.
So this is the backup to make sure that doesn't happen again.
So that's why I said, I'm not putting it all in one nest.
Yeah. For this PNC account, is that jointly owned?
Yes,
Okay.
everything is, I think.
Everything is good. And I assume you may have some other bank accounts then that are jointly owned?
not
Checking,
much, yes.
You know, nominal, that you used to pay your bills?
Checking, yes.
Yeah.
We don't actually have any other savings account to speak of.
That's probably about, 100,000.
Oh, no, we don't have that much.
No, we didn't tell us.
No, we used to,
So
but
just a varying balance, changes just depending on when you
Yes.
check, when you pay the bills, yeah.
I'd say probably more like 35 or 40.
Okay. Any life insurance?
He has life insurance, I don't have any for that. You have it through
And that's-
Oh, don't we have that anymore?
much that's worth.
I think what we did, now that I think about it, I think in the last years of it, because of our age or something, we used the, dividends to pay for the insurance each year, and so I don't think we have that particular one anymore.
So you think this policy's lapsed then?
I think so.
Okay.
I was thinking of Ameriprise, and that would be that one.
Okay, so no life insurance then for either of you?
He does have, a 20-year one that he got when he was young.
In high school or something, you might have.
And, that's
They're small, like
$10,000.
$10,000-15,000. We have two of those. And Globe Life,
We don't have any Globe Life, we just have it on the kids.
Okay, so maybe two small life insurance policies on
Yeah,
the go
they're
as well.
small.
Okay.
They're small.
she needs, while we're at it, she needs to get life insurance, but looking at it, she's 84 years old,
Well, the
and out of my
problem,
life insurance.
the problem is the life insurance gets expensive later in life. So the life insurance is really there to insure against expenses,
Family, yeah.
unforeseeable expenses that may arise in life. So you may not really need it at this point because the costs may outweigh any benefit you could actually get.
I see.
And if,
The only thing that I'd be interested in covering is like the, burial or cremation or that type of thing.
Yeah, but you also have these funds that would be able to be used for that as well. The point is that it may just be overly expensive to actually go out and get life insurance now. From a cost benefit analysis, it may not make sense.
Okay.
Is this a pretty accurate picture then of your all's assets?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
So then,
I guess the reason I say that we need a trust, because of the investments in the stock market.
well, that doesn't really have any impact on the trust, on whether or not to use a trust. When we're talking about trusts versus wills, we're talking about a way to avoid a probate upon the second of your death when we're in the trust realm. And really, we recommend using trusts for the majority of our clients because they make it a little bit easier for when you do both pass away, for how these assets would be passed to your beneficiaries, okay? What we would want is for your assets to remain jointly owned for now, for the time being. We would set up simple trusts for each of you that would remain unfunded while you both are alive. Then following the first of your deaths, we would actually fund the surviving spouse's trust with the assets that were previously jointly owned, so that then upon the second spouse's death, those assets can pass down to your heirs without having to go through a probate proceeding.
Oh,
Now, a probate, it's not the end of the world, but it takes some time
yeah.
to have a court-appointed personal representative and actually have those assets be able to be distributed to your beneficiaries. A trust avoids that issue, okay? So we really recommend using trusts for this type of planning because really it's essentially the same thing as a will, but it just gives you a little bit more control over A, how the assets pass, but B, to allow you to do so in a manner that's more simplistic for your beneficiaries.
I see.
Okay. So, I assume that upon the first of your deaths, everything is just to pass to the surviving spouse. Then upon both deaths, is it to be divided equally amongst your children?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
it goes right down the line, they get Joe, Jeffrey, and Gina.
What's that now?
Yes. He was just saying Billy, Jeffrey, and
I
Gina.
think we're set up that the oldest boy really would take
No, I think it's just equal, to all three. Wouldn't that be?
Well, okay, so when both of you pass away, for these assets that remain, is it your intent to have them pass equally to the three children?
Yes,
Okay, okay.
and the reason for that, you know, that we have no reason to favor anything, because Gina is probably gonna need help more than anybody else. The other guys, the guys are working, they get jobs, doing well.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow,
So
the way we set it up is equally,
for the amount that passes to Gina, would you want Gina to manage that? Or when you said that she may need help, would you want somebody to be able to be her assistant in managing that money for her?
she probably would want somebody,
I have Benji.
What did you say, huh?
I would have Benji manage it.
I can't.
I would
Sorry.
have Evangeline manage it.
Evangeline?
Benji.
Oh, Vanjie.
yeah, she,
Oh, she has a,
I would have her manage
go ahead.
it. So yes.
financial advisor,
Okay.
so,
Is that Evangeline Grissom?
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And that's probably, that seems to be working well, and
So I'll do it, but
So you would want
Very
Evangeline to
good.
serve as the trustee for your share, Gina?
if she can.
Okay. Gina, do you currently qualify for any government-based assistance?
I have Social Security
Okay, okay.
and Medicare
Medicare, okay.
because I'm disabled. They say.
Well, the reason I ask is that then we'll want to use a special form of trust for Gina's that will make it so those trust assets are protected and not counted against her for qualifying for those
Oh,
government-based
yes.
needs.
Right,
And then Vanjie can serve as the manager of those assets.
okay.
And Gina, she can work with you for when you need
Mhm.
money to distribute it out to you.
Great.
Okay?
that's important, of course,
Yes.
for anybody, I guess.
For William, is that William R. Harriman Jr.?
No,
No. Okay.
Different
mine is
meaning.
H, middle name,
Yours is H.
and his,
And Bessie, what's your full legal name?
Ida, EDA.
EDA, middle initial? Or what's your full legal name?
Bessie, Ida.
Bessie, Ida. Okay.
Ida is my middle name.
Okay. Okay. As far as William and Jeffrey, they would be able to manage their shares on their own?
Yes,
Okay.
at this
Now-
point.
One of the important decisions that you all will have to make is who would be the trustee of everything if you were to become incapacitated or upon your death. So who would be in charge of selling the home, liquidating the assets, and distributing them into shares for the three children? And that doesn't have to be something that that individual knows how to do themselves. It can be something they can work with an advisor for. So typically we recommend naming one or two of the children if you feel like either William or Jeffrey would be able to handle that role.
I think William knows what do you think?
I think
Very capable,
And if William couldn't, would Jeffrey be able to?
yes.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to.
And what that would entail for them would be to, if, when something happens to both of you all, if you become incapacitated
Mhm.
or upon both of your deaths, William would be in charge of just working with an attorney or a financial advisor or somebody to get the ball rolling on listing the home for sale, liquidating the investment accounts, getting the ball moving on having those assets distributed into the shares for the three children.
Okay.
How about
Okay.
your financial advisor?
What's that?
How about about their financial advisor?
Well, exactly, but William could work with your financial advisor if he chooses
Oh,
to.
okay,
But we prefer naming a family member as opposed to an
Oh.
actual professional
okay,
in that situation. Gina, for you with Vanjie, that makes sense, and she probably manages a lot of your money now for
Yes.
you.
Yes.
That would make sense to name her as your trustee for your trust share, since it just adds into the pot of money that she's already managing for you.
Yes,
Okay. So basically, William will be in charge of liquidating these assets, and then the third share for you, Gina, would go into this trust that would be managed by Vanjie.
Yes.
Okay. Um, the other, and the way that trust would work is that just when one of you do pass away, we recommend that the surviving spouse pick up the phone and ask for help. Whether it's calling our office, whether it's calling your financial advisor's office, just saying, what do we do now?
okay,
We have these trusts that we set up. What's the next step? At that point, we would want to take the home, deed it into the surviving spouse's trust, and then make some transfers into the surviving spouse as trustee of the trust, to move the bank accounts and the investment accounts into their name as trustee of their trust. The surviving spouse would have complete control over all those assets, but by moving them into the trust at that point of time, it would avoid a probate upon
Okay.
their subsequent passing.
okay. The one thing about trust that I had a question
Mhm.
about was, you have to put everything in the trust name? You don't use your name anymore?
Well, you would actually use your name as trustee of the trust.
Oh,
So
That's
if
what you were just saying?
So for right now, everything just stays the way it is.
Oh, okay.
Jointly, okay? We would have these two empty trusts, which would be essentially empty buckets that are there waiting for when something happens to one of you,
Okay,
okay? Those trusts are the instructions. They're essentially the same concept as a will.
Mhm.
They're the instructions for how assets are to pass upon both of your deaths.
Mhm.
But now we have these two trusts set up, ready to go. If Bill predeceases you, Bessie, then we would take these assets and we would fund them into the Bessie Harriman Living Trust, okay? Now what that means is we would transfer them from your name into your name as trustee of the Bessie Harriman Living Trust.
Okay,
You would be the trustee of that trust.
Okay.
It would not change any income tax reporting.
yeah,
It wouldn't change any taxes that you have for those assets. It wouldn't
Okay.
change your control over those assets. You would still be the trustee, so you would have the full control over if you wanted to sell the home, if you wanted to take money out, change the investments, you're in charge. But then if you become incapacitated and not able to do that anymore, then William would step up,
I see.
and he would be the one who's tasked with managing those assets
Okay.
for your benefit,
Okay,
okay?
yeah,
Then when you subsequently pass away, the trust assets in the Bessie Harriman Living Trust would be liquidated by William as trustee and divided into the 3 shares for
Okay.
William, Jeffrey, and Gina,
okay,
okay?
yeah,
It doesn't actually, you don't give up control of the assets. All you're doing is you're putting it in this vehicle to avoid a probate.
mhm, I
Okay.
see.
And that, again, would only be upon the second spouse's death, or after the first of your deaths, we would want to actually fund the trust. The reason we do that is, while you both are alive, we want to maintain the joint ownership of these assets for several reasons. First, it makes transfer upon the first of your deaths very, very easy. It happens automatically.
Okay,
Second, in Florida, we have a law called tenancy by the entirety's ownership, where if married couples own assets jointly, then a creditor of one of yours cannot go after or attach to those jointly owned assets.
I see.
Okay? So Bill, if you were to get into a car accident and they were to sue you individually, then they couldn't attach to the jointly owned assets to settle that lawsuit. Likewise, they couldn't touch your
That's good.
homestead property or the IRA accounts because those are protected under Florida law, okay? Now, the one recommendation we make is for your vehicles, we recommend that you own those in your individual names. So Bill, the car that you primarily drive should be owned in your name, and Bessie, the vehicle that you primarily drive should be owned in your name.
What if it's the same vehicle?
Luckily, we only have one
If you
vehicle.
only have one vehicle, who's the primary driver?
Right
It's
now.
pretty even,
It's about
actually.
the same.
Even?
But
Okay.
I think on our insurance, I think it's still Bill.
Okay. Well, this is actually for the title of the vehicle. Whoever drives the vehicle the majority of the time, it would make sense to have them be the sole owner of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Because if you jointly own the vehicle, no matter who's driving, then if you were to be sued through driving a jointly owned vehicle, then it would expose those jointly owned assets. Okay? Now, this is a protection against the, the bad day on the road, the big what ifs. Most accidents would be covered by your automobile insurance coverage. This is just in case something catastrophic happens. We like to take advantage of the free asset protection that we are able to use in joint ownership to the extent that we're able to. Okay?
Now, we had an accident, major accident. The insurance company that we have on the automobile,
Mhm.
are there to protect me, us.
What's that?
I see, the insurance that we have on the automobile, that has a purpose to protect us in case like this.
Yes, but it has policy limits. So this additional protection is to protect you against an accident that exceeds whatever your insurance coverage limits may be.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's a bit of free asset protection that we like to take advantage of when it's appropriate. In your case, first marriage, assets remain jointly owned. We want to keep it that way while you both are alive, to be able to use that joint ownership protection. Okay? The other important question for you all will be, who would make healthcare decisions or medical decisions for you if you're not able to communicate with your doctor? Likely it would be each other,
Yeah.
first off. But if both of you weren't able to communicate with your physician, who would be tasked with making those decisions for you?
I think you're set up for it to be Billy.
You think,
We all talk to it as kids talk together and Billy is the spokesperson.
Wouldn't it be the same as,
Yeah.
familiar to Jeff?
Well, so Bill, for example, if you were to be incapacitated
Right.
and you weren't able to communicate with your doctor, Bessie would make those decisions for you. But what if you were both incapacitated? Who would you want to be the one who's making decisions for you
Yeah.
with your doctor? And it
So,
could be multiple people if you would like to. We can say any of these 2, 3 people can make a decision without having the consent of any others. So if you want to name multiple ones, we can do that too.
let's see. So what did you say, Gina? Do you know what?
I think it should be Billy.
Billy? Yeah, I would,
Because they're set up that he's kind of the head.
Okay, so William, Billy would be the one who would make those decisions for you both?
Right.
I'm thinking, yeah, I guess so.
Well, it's up to you all.
No, it was just our daughter-in-law, Sherry. It's really knowledgeable about a lot of medical things.
Is that William's wife?
No, it's Jeffrey's wife.
Okay. Well, likely if it's a decision that they would be able to sit on and think about, you would likely consult with her. But I would recommend that if you trust William and Jeffrey, you name one or both of them in that role since they're actual blood relatives. That way, if it's a justice decision, you have two of them who would be able to make that call for you. But likely what they would do is they would consult with Jeffrey. What do you think we should do? What do you think something happens and who are actually there,
All right.
okay? We could name William and Jeffrey, if you'd like. And if you were to both be incapacitated, the doctor would reach out to both of them, and either one could make the decision.
Probably a good idea, because if we have an accident happen, one of them for probably with us.
Yeah, they could reach out to both of them, and if one of them's unable to be reached, or something happened to one of them, then they would be able to reach out to the other one. Either one would be able to make those decisions, okay?
Makes sense, Chris?
Other than that, you all, we're gonna keep these trusts fairly simple. We just want to have those in place as that probate avoidance tool, but really the important part's gonna be having some planning in place for Gina's share, which we'll include in this, but also for you all, having these healthcare documents, having these documents that determine who your helpers would be, to manage your finances, to manage your healthcare decisions. That's gonna be important, and that's what we just talked about here, but as far as the trusts go, we'll keep it fairly simple, but it still makes sense to set these up to again provide for Gina's share and also to avoid that probate, okay? Really, that's what I have for you all. Do you have any questions for me?
No, one thing on the will, after we drew the will, we decided we wanted to be cremated, but that doesn't show up anywhere.
So what we do is we include some memorial instructions in the binders that we give to you with these documents.
Yeah.
And that lets you fill out what your intentions are for,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
for things like that, okay?
Okay, that was one of my questions. All right, really, to update the wills, the will, the power of attorney, and cremation we're dealing with. We don't have, I think, in the very near future, we should talk to somebody about cremation and funeral and so
And
forth.
potentially set something up there another time.
Right.
And then in those binders we give you, can leave the instructions to William for who you set that up with, so he knows where to go.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Rather than leave them up to have to make that decision.
Yeah, which they would be able to if you didn't do that, but this makes their job a little bit easier that way. Okay?
All right. You can see this is the same thing we've been talking about pretty much.
Okay, so this last point, talk to an elder lawyer.
Yeah,
That came from you.
Well, I think you've answered.
Well, no, I didn't talk about any of that. That's
Yeah.
not an area that we practice in.
oh, okay.
Elder law or
So now what-
Medicaid planning.
It's what,
That's Medicaid planning.
oh,
Yours had less than $2,000.
I didn't mean
Well-
elder care, I meant elder lawyer
Yes.
that does older people.
Well, when we see elder law, we think of, there's a special form of trust that some attorneys practice in, where you basically transfer your assets to the trust now, so that if you have to so you have to go into long-term care, your assets are not counted against you for determining qualification for Medicaid, okay? We don't practice in that. I don't know if that's what you meant by that question, or if you just meant for things like healthcare, durable power of attorney, and things of that sort.
We just really, I don't think we knew what the
Okay.
difference was between an elder.
I just saw that. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that wasn't something that was
Yeah.
on your list of things to talk about.
I guess we had wondered, since the last item on here,
Yeah.
whether we should just talk to attorney that deals with living trust.
That deals with what?
The trust thing for
Yeah, trust
older
law,
people.
Yeah, and again, we're talking about
But-
revocable trusts for you all. That's really just the same thing as a will, okay?
Yeah,
For how these assets are to pass downstream following
Yes.
both of you passing. That's trust planning for now, and there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through for that. There's a lot of time periods that have to be met
Oh,
in order to have assets be excluded from your estate for Medicaid
yeah,
purposes.
okay,
Now,
so
if you
now,
ever do want to talk to somebody about that, I can give you some names of some attorneys for that area.
okay,
But that's not something that our office handles.
okay. So
Okay?
would you, think that would be a good idea for us, or isn't
Well,
isn't that enough, money actually to,
see, it's an area that we really don't practice in because it's not our area of expertise. And it's not something that we choose to practice in, okay? That type of planning would be for, you would have to give up control of your assets now to a trustee, likely your children.
I see,
But if you needed money in the future, you would have to actually ask that trustee for money. So a lot of it's giving up control now.
I think that's what I
I
was
don't agree with
yeah.
that.
kind of concerned about, I just didn't understand the.
Yeah, that's a completely different area of law. You know, it really, it becomes an issue if you're concerned that the assets that you have won't be, or it's really an issue if you're worried that if you do go into long-term care, that you don't want your assets to be spent down
Mhm.
before the state steps in to pay those costs for you. Now, the IRA and the homestead would be protected from that.
It's what,
The homestead's protected from that.
oh, it is
Okay?
protected, yeah,
So that isn't able to be reached, or that won't have to be spent down if it gets to that point. But again, that's not an area that we do practice in, but I can give you some names of some attorneys if you want to go down that route. But again, it does involve giving up control of your assets to somebody who then manages them for you. You would also have to do that before, or you'd have to do that before, 5 years before any type of
oh,
long-term
Long-term
care
care
is
is
provided.
needed.
Otherwise, they can look back and pull those assets out of the trust and spend them down anyways before you can qualify for that Medicaid.
oh,
Okay?
That makes sense to me.
so, we have long-term care insurance.
Okay.
And it, yeah, I know it's good for 4 years, and I know it's like $279 or something like that a day at
Okay.
a hospital or,
For each one of us.
yeah, and for home care, it's like 100 and something a day.
So then really for right now, I wouldn't worry about that. What we'll do is we'll prepare these revocable trusts that don't involve giving up control. These are just the same thing as a will. Just the planning
Okay.
for what happens to these assets when you both pass away. Okay?
Yeah, so, I just don't know if we actually need to do all the other, the elder.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I
If you have
don't
the insurance for it, then probably not. But if you ever feel like you do want to talk to somebody about it, who actually practices in that field, I can always give you the name of somebody,
Okay,
okay?
Yeah.
But, what I would recommend is that we do go ahead and prepare the living trust for you all, in addition to the healthcare documents, power of attorney documents, things like that, to make sure that what happens to these assets is set and taken care of, okay?
yeah. So,
So what we'll do is, after we meet with clients, we like to write a letter to our clients, just going over what we talked about, reviewing the discussion that we had. Do you all have an email that I could send that letter to?
it's BILLAND BESS@AOL.com.
Okay. And let me go ahead and get your address now as well.
Pardon me.
Your address.
All right, it's 2170 Oyster Bay Drive in Vero Beach,
Okay.
32963.
Great. So Bill, Bessie, what I'll do is I'll get this letter prepared and email it to you all, and that letter will talk about fees. The way we like to
Okay.
work is flat fee basis, we don't like to do hourly billing. We like to give a fee up front to our clients, they know what to expect for what the plan will cost, okay? And that fee will be due when we're done with everything, so we don't do retainers or anything like that either, okay?
Do you need a copy of my will?
I won't actually, I have the information that I need right here. These new documents will actually supersede that previous
Mhm.
will. So these will take over for that,
Mhm.
okay? But I have all the information that I would need right here.
Okay. Alright, so I guess we go ahead and do that, huh?
Yeah.
So let me send that letter to you by email, take a look at it. If everything
Okay.
looks good, give us a call, and we'll
Okay.
go ahead and start drafting
Okay.
these, okay?
Alright, that sounds good,
All right?
yes. And, thank you for sharing.
Of course,